Hey everyone, welcome back to another week of The Week Ahead, brought to you by MarCommEd. My name's Zack Rhymes, and I'm joined today by my co-host Ryan Green. Ryan, it's good to be back. I had a few technical glitches last week, hence my absence. How are you?
Yeah, good. I was loving the limelight. I'll be honest, mate, you were missed. You were definitely missed. But I was, loving the limelight. But good to have you back.
Brilliant. Well, did you have a nice weekend?
Yeah, it was good, actually. Good. Kind of a little bit, the weather's dropped up here in the northeast, so it's a little bit colder, but fresher. And as I was mentioning earlier, my mum said when it gets cold, it kills all the bugs. So that's a good sign, I think. So
We'll send some over the hills to Greater Manchester, yeah, because we've got lots of bugs and lurgies flying about here, so it'd be well received. But no, glad to hear. And yeah, I had a few people messaging me thinking that you'd fired me off from last week, so I'm back. And today we're joined with a duo act, the first on the series. So we're joined by Suzanna and Amie, who from Trilby TV. Suzanna, Amie, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Nice to be here.
Likewise. Yeah, I'm really excited for this episode today. As we're saying there backstage, like it's great that we've got a range of guests and people in the ed tech space that are now really taking interest to this. But could you just tell us, just very in a short summary, what Trilby TV do and how you support your schools?
Sure. Do you want me to go? Or shall I go first? So at Trilby TV, we're a digital signage platform, but we're made solely for education. So started out from our directors who used to be Apple trainers. So they used to go into schools and deliver Apple training and often see a screen in reception that was either turned off or showing content that had sort of little impact to the audience or was quite outdated. So that sort of was the driver behind creating Trilby TV, to enable schools to be able to kind of share and showcase all the amazing work that's going on in school, but also get those kind of essential key messages out to the school community, and to do that in a really simple and easy way that isn't difficult to manage and maintain, so that it stays up to date and it stays current, and keeps everybody informed.
Brilliant. Did you want to add to that, Suzanna?
I think Amy's got that covered very well, but yeah, it's really about sort of an easy way to build community, both in the school, but with parents, prospective pupils and parents, and people like that as well. So yeah, exactly, showcasing all of that fantastic stuff about your school.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds it. Working in a multi-academy trust myself, it's great to go around schools and see the screens in use. But yeah, there's nothing worse, from experience, when you do see that screen and it's not in use. You think, what a waste! Like, what a great resource you've got there. So just bringing it to this week and the work that you're doing. What does that look like if in terms of how the week ahead with how you're working with schools? Again, if you could both just give a take on that.
Sure. Yeah. So this week, so tomorrow, I'm actually out visiting one of our secondary schools in Gloucestershire that's been using us for about 3 years. And I'm going to be going on site and actually sort of seeing how they're using the platform. I'll be chatting with the assistant principal, so he oversees sort of systems and operations in the school. And it's a chance for us to kind of build a case study around them, to kind of see how they're using Trilby TV across the school community and the impact that it's having. And also then be able to kind of share that with other local schools that might also be looking to develop digital signage within their school. But they're a bit of a sort of not unique, well, I guess a little bit unique, but they've got a theatre, a sort of brand new theatre that's built within the school grounds that's sort of externally run, but it's a chance to kind of see how Trilby TV is used within the theatre as well, and the impact that that's having. So that's going to be sort of quite a fun day tomorrow, being outside, kind of really getting hands-on with our customers and building a case study around that. And then on Wednesday, I've got a meeting with a multi-academy trust that we don't work with as yet. We've got one of their schools has been using Trilby TV for a little while, and we've had another school that's expressed an interest in sort of coming on board with Trilby TV. But because they're part of a multi-academy trust, we're having a meeting with IT, just to kind of look at how maybe we could use Trilby TV across the trust to kind of engage with all staff, to be able to share those key messages. And so that's happening on Wednesday, which is really nice to be able to kind of show the great work that's already happening at the school that we're working with, but also then be able to kind of look at how we can actually enhance communication across a number of schools within the trust, and to do that in a bringing cost saving to the schools as well. And then also we've got another event. So it seems to be November seems to be event month. So I'll be out next week at the Berkhamsted IT conference. So I've got some preparations to do for that. And then also we've got another webinar coming up, which I know Suzanna will mention. So I'll be doing some sort of outreach and some promotion around that, just to try and engage with some of our existing schools, some potential new schools as well.
So busy week. And so Amie, just, how's the planning go for the kind of strategy for the content? Like, you mentioned the importance of kind of utilizing this digital signage, and I'm sure there's tons of content in the school, but where do you really kind of get the direction for? How does schools go thinking about, what's the strategic messaging that they're going to place? Or is it really just a complete, free-for-all kind of showcase of just bits of stuff happening in the school or trust?
Yeah, it's a really good point to make, actually. So, I mean, we have some sort of pre-made content in Trilby TV within our content catalogue from some of our carefully selected partners. So schools can utilise that and be able to put that on the screens straight away. But in terms of kind of content creation, we always encourage schools to create their own content, because they're living it. They're living the events, the activities that are taking place, all the celebrations. And we also find that the schools that kind of get the most out of Trilby TV and create the most impactful content, it's often the students that are creating that as well. So we really do promote sort of student voice, whether that's through students creating their own content or their own campaigns. And then that can be uploaded onto Trilby TV, and then it can be authorised to be pushed out. But we don't kind of create all of the content for schools. Right. It's very much an individual thing, especially when we've got sort of primary schools that might be, for example, we've got a school that have like their own YouTube channel, so they might want to be able to sort of share that and the different work they're doing on that. And then equally, you might have a secondary school that wants to have different departments sharing different information for their key subjects. So it's a real mix.
Yeah, sounds it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Suzanna, fire the question back to yourself. So what does your week look like?
Well, you've actually caught us at, as Amy's said, really quite a busy time in our calendar. So this week, a lot of my work is preparing for the webinar that we're going to be hosting on the 27th, which is we're actually teaming up with Inventory, and we have Dave Leonard, who works at Watergrove Trust as Strategic IT Director, hosting. And what that's going to be is we're going to be thinking about different ways that trusts in particular can streamline some of their systems. Because I think what we're seeing is that lots of schools and trusts are bringing in more edtech tools all the time, which is fantastic and helpful in lots of ways for teaching and learning and administration and data and that kind of thing, but also become quite a lot to manage, especially if different schools across trust are using different systems for similar things. So we're going to be thinking about sort of the ways in which trust can reduce that admin, really. So we're planning that, promoting that to both our customers and people who follow us on social media and things like that. And then we have lots and lots of events. Amy's mentioned Berkhamsted next week, but some of our team are actually in the Midlands today at the Association for Network Managers event. And they'll be talking to network managers, mostly from the Midlands, about their digital signage, how they can, especially about the sort of tech and that kind of thing around that. And then next week we're in Scotland for Learning Places Scotland. We are in the Northwest for another A&ME event with network managers. We're at Berkhamsted in the Midlands, and then also at the Schools and Academy show in Birmingham. So we're kind of all around the country talking with schools and trusts about communication with digital signage.
And Susanna, is it? I mean, it sounds like you do a lot with the network managers, and which is quite interesting because I don't even know if we have any network managers who are part of the kind of MarCommEd group, really. How receptive are network managers to improving communications, or are they just more interested about getting the utilization of the device? So I'd be really interested to understand that, and whether they see communications as actually part of their responsibility. More importantly, digital communications is part of their responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and we've been working with ANME, the association, for quite a long time now, and we I think it's really individual on the school or the trust and that person's role, but I think increasingly that involvement in communications across the school is becoming more important. Of course, I think people in those kind of roles are naturally a bit more interested in how the and, like you said, making sure. But there's definitely an investment in how that helps everybody across the school to work better together as well.
Very good. Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, that was kind of on my mind there, because there is, traditionally the marketing and comms teams or personnel and the network managers, the IT, they don't always work in parallel to that objective. They both have an objective to improve, like the infrastructure or the comms. So it's great that there's a resource that's developing there. But are you seeing the outcomes and the measures that this, that Trilby TV and other digital signage is having a positive impact? And if so, how is that shared as a success?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Amy can also talk to this, but she touched on the fact that we've done lots of case studies recently, and it's been really interesting to hear about what people have got from digital signage, because I think the obvious impact of that is showcasing work and things like that. But we've also been talking to people about how it's a really good way of keeping track of all of the brilliant content that has been made in the school. People have sort of been using it as a way to evidence things that have happened in the school as well, whether that's great exam results, fantastic attendance for a particular term, or sporting achievements, and it's all there as a sort of bank of evidence for schools as well, which is really interesting, because I think I probably hadn't thought about it that much before in that way, but we've heard a couple of people say that recently too.
Yeah, I was just going to touch upon the sort of a recent case study that we did with Transform Trust, where they kind of they noticed that they'd be sort of sending out key communication to their primary schools, and it wasn't always getting through, so often being held by maybe the head teacher or a gatekeeper. So sort of feeding back, they shared that kind of they were getting a bigger uptake on things like staff CPD, attending sort of different staff events that they were putting on, because it can be a little bit disheartening if you're promoting all these things by email and it's not actually getting to the right people at the right time, and you might have a staff member that thinks, I'm not really being pushed, or I'm not really being given the opportunity to develop myself and do these further developments and training. But actually, the other end of that, you've got the multi-academy trusts that are providing that, and it might not be reaching the right person at the school. So they really fed back that things like their CPD and staff events and staff benefits, they're able to kind of share through Trilby TV and it reach all of the staff members.
Yeah.
Positioning a TV screen just in their staff room of each school. So it's there, it's visible. and that content sort of shared regularly with them.
And I suppose it's clarity of message, isn't it? Because if you're on a TV screen, you're not going to have War and Peace on there. It's going to kind of be, a couple of sentences, maybe some bullet points, kind of key message, which is just constantly reinforced. I mean, anecdotally, I remember doing a bit of a communications workshop with a number of heads in the trust, and they were complaining about the trust newsletter. Because which went via email, from the PA of the chief exec to all the heads, which was then supposed to be passed on to their staff, and they complained because they felt the need to go through and literally copy and paste and remove all the stuff they didn't think was relevant for the staff members. And I was like, wow, why not just let them read it? Like, it was actually intended for everyone to read, and if it's not relevant, imagine passing a newspaper to somebody who cuts out all the articles they didn't think you'd be interested. I just thought it was crazy. So I think, it's a great way, isn't it, of just key messaging, and especially with staff retention at the moment. I think it's so easy to forget the value proposition of the organization that you're currently in without that constant reinforcement and that reminder. And I know there's the HR teams around the country will be saying, well, hang on a minute, I sent them that email when they started, and it's like, that was 2 years ago, it wasn't relevant then, it is relevant now, they've forgotten, as we all do. I do think it's sometimes it's not about new messaging, but actually just reinforcement of the existing message to kind of keep it in the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you were kind of giving a bit more of an overview at the start around the technology, it did kind of dawn on me quite quickly how valuable this could be for recruitment and retention. And I mean, I know, Amy, we spoke previously, and a tactic I've used with the TV screens we have within our schools is promoting job opportunities at open evenings, and actually we've recruited staff through that. But what we could be better at, and I'm sure listeners would probably agree across the community, is utilising that on a more frequent basis. And again, it's building that relationship between marketing with recruitment, HR, in really celebrating and sharing those messages. I mean, just thinking the bigger picture then into and just kind of concluding this, how much impact do you have with working with trust then with regards to rolling this out and seeing that consistency of messaging? Ryan touched upon that there in terms of the benefits, but is that kind of one of your biggest USPs, and are you seeing schools really benefiting from that?
Definitely. I mean, we work with sort of a range of trusts in terms of sizes. So we might have a trust of 3 schools up to a trust of 50 plus. And obviously every trust is very different in terms of whether they all have their own sort of distinctness, or whether they all follow the kind of trust branding and how that works. But we see a real difference. I mean, I think at Trilby TV as well, we kind of account manage those trusts, so we really make sure that they get the most out of the platform, but also that it's they've got a bit of a white glove service in terms of support from us, so that they're not they don't just come on board and off, we wave them goodbye and off they go. We're with part of that journey all the way through to really make sure they're getting the most impact out of it.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Suzanna?
Yeah, I was also just going to say, I think what Amy just touched on about all trusts being slightly different in the way they do their communications. I think there's a real opportunity to sort of provide as much content or guidance to your schools as you need. So some trusts might want to have trust messaging in school receptions and things like that, and others might not. But I think having a system that's flexible and allows you to go the route that's best for your trust in your schools is really important, and we're also here to help them with that too.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, so I can really see the benefits of that, and the fact that you've got that agility to do so is is a great benefit. And yeah, I mean, it's in the modern era, as we touched upon there, like just sending emails, those days are behind us, or certainly we should be all looking at other avenues. And I think having the digital signage within our remits and our buildings is a positive step forward, or can only be so. It's been great to learn more about Trilby TV, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will have found a lot of value from that. Where can people find you if they want to reach out and have a conversation?
Yeah.
So you can head to our website, which is trilbytv.co.uk. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram at Trilby TV. We've got lots of things going on. As I mentioned, the webinar coming up, but there's plenty of resources on our website and our blog and things if you want to hear more about people's stories with digital signage as well.
Brilliant. And you've got a lot of events, so I'm sure people around the country are going to see you in person.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, we'll be closer.
Yeah, coming to a town near you soon. Any final questions or remarks from you, Ryan?
No, I think it's just really interesting to see the importance of internal communication and actually using using these screens to reinforce kind of key messages. And I think just if there's one thing I'd take away, and help listeners take away, is that looking for opportunities for those strategic communications and looking for where they can exist beyond the email. It should be part of the broader assessment, for MarCommEd, for any organization. And I think, this is a great example. And I know that we'll probably speak to other people who are also doing different things with internal comms. But yeah, just next time you're walking around your school or your trust, and you see that screen there that's got the same image on or hasn't got anything on at all, maybe just think about how you can utilize that to get those key messages across and reinforce some of your value proposition as an organization. I think that's a real valuable lesson for people watching today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just very quickly, it took me back a little bit to the conversation we had with Chris Prince as well from United Learning around the things he's done in the branding environment. And it's just showcasing how valuable and important that is becoming. It's not just about what you send out digitally or what you send out physically in the post. It's that experience you provide people coming through the doors, whether that be a prospective student or a member of staff. That's really showcasing its value when it all comes back to comms. So yeah, really good insight. I'm sure everyone will take some real positives away. But Suzanna, Amie, you've got a busy week, so we won't keep you any longer. Just want to say a big thank you to you both. Ryan, thank you for your time as well. And thanks for watching. Please, keep in touch. If you do want to know more, reach out to Suzanna and Amie, and enjoy your week.